title of this video suggests, I am going to be reviewing this book, The Book with No Pictures by b.j.novak. I was given this book by my husband as a gift because he thought it would be really good for my classroom. I'd actually seen this book in a YouTube video. It was b.j.novak reading the book to some children and I thought it was brilliant, so I couldn't wait to read this to my class. So as the title suggests, this book has no pictures, and the kind of idea behind it is to teach children that books without pictures can be fun too. When I first got this book out and I went to show it to my children and explained to them that it didn't have any pictures in it, they did not want to read it, which was the exact reaction that I was looking for. But being their teacher, I said that they had to sit and listen to this book, and they were so glad that I did by the end of it. So the book starts with the line, "This is a book with no pictures." Just to really drill it home to those children. It might seem like no fun to have someone read you a book with no pictures. The book then goes on to explain how books work. So everything that is written in the book has to be read. So the adult reading it has to say every single word that is in the book. This is when the children started to kind of click that this might be something funny or silly to make their teacher look silly. So then we go on through the book and we get some brilliant lines, of course, that make the adult seem really silly and make the children laugh. So, for example, "My head is made of blueberry pizza." Wait a second! So it's got all of these little kind of anecdotes. So the adult will read the lines that are hilarious, and then there'll be little bits every now and again that say, "Hey, wait a minute," or "Is this whole book a trick? Do I really have to read this?" Which is great because it kind of makes this dialogue between you and the children. So you're not just reading to them, they start responding to the questions that you're answering that the book is kind of prompting you to ask. And of course they tell you that you must carry on reading this book because they've realised by that point that this is quite funny. The book instructs the reader to sing ridiculous songs. The book then carries on and asks the grown-up to make silly sounds, say silly things, make silly voices as well. And by this point the children would be yelling at me, "Yes, you have to carry on reading!" And I would every so often go off script a little bit and say, "But there's no pictures in this story, I don't want to read it anymore," and they still would encourage me to carry on reading, which was great. It was exactly the reaction that I was hoping for, and I guess that b.j.novak was hoping for. So the book then ends with the adult saying that they really never want to have to read this book again. It made them sound really silly and it doesn't even have pictures, and the children then are obviously saying that they want to read it again and again and again. This book absolutely, if I'm going to rate it in this review, gets a 5-star review from me because there is so much that you can do with this book. Not only does it introduce children at a very young age to the prospect of reading a book without pictures or listening to a book without pictures, it also encourages them to use their imagination. So, for example, when you are talking about your best friend who is a hippo, named hilarious name, you can then ask the children to draw what they think that hippo looks like. At one point it says that you are a robot monkey. They could try and draw you as a robot monkey, or with your head being made out of blueberry pizza. That's a really lovely way to kind of get their imaginations going and make their own pictures for this story, teaching them that we don't need pictures in books to be able to see how a story is working. It's also a really, really good resource for being kind of a jumping off point for children to be making up their own stories. So just reciting stories or even writing them without having to have pictures. So with this book I would also then tell children stories that I had made up that had no pictures and no book. So we kind of jumped on from this, going even further, and then the children would start making up their own stories and we would video them and we would show them to their parents, and it was just a really lovely kind of learning moment for them. The other thing the children really liked about this was when we had a different adult come into the classroom. So often we would have parents come in, and sometimes they would help out at story time, read a book to them. If we would have a different teaching assistant one day, any adult who came into the room, they would ask to come... Sorry, I've been joined by a fly for this video. They would ask the adult to come and read this book to them, and sometimes I would tell the adult what was going on, sometimes I wouldn't get a chance to, and they would always be quite surprised that the children had picked the book with no pictures. And I think it makes it even better when the adult reading doesn't know what's coming, because it makes it even funnier, and they absolutely do feel a bit silly. But of course, as I've said before, in reception teaching, we are always making fools of ourselves. That's our job. So that was just a quick review of The Book with No Pictures by b.j.novak. Absolutely a must read, a must have book. It is just fantastic. It's great to read to young children. It's great as a gift for older children who can read themselves. Thank you so much for watching. If there are any other books that you would like me to review, let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, hit the thumbs up button, as it really helps out my channel. And if you're not already subscribed, do hit that subscribe button, because the subscriber count is creeping up, and I just cannot believe every day when I look to see how many people are subscribed, how many of you wonderful people there are. Also, if you don't want to miss any of my future videos, make sure you ring the bell so that you never miss anything that I post. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.